I learned in the beginning from uh, descendants of Krishnamacharya and Krishnamacharya himself, his son Deskachar. I had the very best at that time where they were all on the planet. And then I really discovered Doctor. And I've said it many times, I think Ananda Balaji is the future of yoga. And we're so grateful to have him here. And the other thing I admire about him, he's a beautiful family man. All of his children, his wife, are all involved in some aspect of teaching and singing, all chanting, all those things. So he's a living example for all of us and the future, in my opinion, of yoga. Everyone, please welcome Dr. Nandaji.
Thank you so much, dear Larry. Your love truly empowers me, and that is not just a lip service, but it is from the heart.
Thank
And
you.
I still remember so many years ago, our first meeting in San Francisco and how we immediately connected to each other. And I think we have not lost that connection ever, and it's become stronger and stronger. The connections that are made through the heart, the connections that are made by choice, are the strongest of connections because they are made through the discerning part of our intellect. The old brain is the reptilian, which is only looking after survival. It is our brain stem and spinal cord, just wants to keep us alive. It says, my primary purpose is to keep you alive. Whether you have a life or not, I don't care. That is its attitude. The middle part of the brain says, let's have fun, let's have fun, let's have fun, let's emote, let's emote, let's emote, let's have fun, let's have fun, let's have fun. That is the mammalian part of our brain. That is all about the emotional roller coaster that we keep experiencing day in, day out. But then the new part of the brain, the cerebral cortex, and especially this part of the forehead, just above the eyebrows, this area, which is the supraorbital part of the prefrontal cortex, is the part that truly makes us a human being. And this is where we have the power of choice, the greatest superpower of being human. I remember as a young kid wanting to be Superman or Spider-Man or Batman. We all go through those. We want to have those superpowers. And then I realized we all have a superpower, which is the power of choice. And that power of choice is not just to choose which movie you want to watch on Netflix or which brand of toothpaste you want to pick up at the supermarket, but it is about what will be my attitude each moment of my life. And this is where my beloved mother, and you see both my father and mother behind me watching my back all the time. And that is why I sit here in my office and I have them watching my back. My beloved mother, she used to admire a very wonderful person called Viktor Frankl. And Viktor Frankl went through the Holocaust, came out of it with a new psychotherapeutic model which was called logotherapy. And Viktor Frankl reflected many of the ancient yogic teachings even without knowing yoga, which is why I believe someone can be a yogi without ever standing on their head. And I think there are more yogis who don't do yoga than yogis in the field of yoga. And that is a frank opinion from being 50 years in this. People call it an industry. I think the word field is a little better for me because it is a life of yoga. But Viktor Frankl made a beautiful statement. He said, between stimulus and response, there is a gap. In that gap lies the power of choice. What happens to us in our life may not be under our control. And I thank Barbara for sharing so openly some of those challenging moments of your life. And I completely understand how these moments can be amazing shock. They are a shock because you don't expect them. You don't anticipate them. And suddenly there's a diagnosis. Suddenly there is an emergency. Suddenly there is a change in life. Suddenly there's a change in relationships. And these things are not always under our control. But what is under our control is how we choose to respond to those challenges. And that is where the biggest impact of yoga is in changing what happens between your ears. That is the most important impact of yoga. Whether the oxygen levels go up in the blood, whether your muscles tighten or relax or produce less lactic acid, whether your joints become more flexible or not, that is all the popcorn and chips. The main course is not that. The main course is what happens between your ears in how it changes your worldview. And I say it's not just a worldview, it's a universal view. And suddenly, instead of everything becoming a matter of life and death, instead of everything becoming a roller coaster of up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, suddenly we start to find ourselves in that peaceful eye of the storm, where the storm rages on around us, but we are at ease with our own self. That is the greatest contribution of yoga. And this is why we cannot separate the principles from the practices. We cannot separate the philosophy and the psychology and the spirituality from the practices. They all go together. And as you work through the practices, every practice changes the way you look at the world. An example, whenever we do any posture where we bend forward, the forward bending posture where the thoracic area and the abdominal area start to come closer to your thighs. So any asana where you bend forward and your chest and your thighs are coming closer, a forward bending asana. It doesn't matter whether it is standing, sitting, lying down, in a chair, assisted, unassisted, with prop, without prop, none of that matters. If it is a forward bending, front bending posture, it immediately brings a beautiful sense of calm. The first thing is calm. The second thing is humility. The third is acceptance. You mentioned about grief. You know, one of the biggest challenges we human beings face is that we always deny that which is very clear to our face. And because of denial, we do not get into that most important phase, which is called acceptance. The earlier we come into the stage of acceptance, the more we can do something about that challenge. As long as we are in denial, we cannot do much. As long as we are in anger, we cannot do much. As long as we are in depression, we cannot do much. As long as we are in bargaining, we cannot do much. When we come to acceptance, everything changes. I went through this many years ago when my son was diagnosed as a young child with type 1 diabetes. And I went through the entire spectrum of denial, anger, depression, bargaining, and acceptance, sitting in my car that whole night as he was battling for life in the emergency room. And the next morning, I had come to that acceptance. And from that day, for the past 10 years, he and I have created a team where we look at how to deal with life to the best of our capacity from that point of acceptance. So how do you develop acceptance? Every forward bending asana, whether it is the child pose that people talk about, where you come down the Shashankasana, or whether it is a beautiful toe touching from the standing, or whether you are lying down and bringing your legs up and over your head in what is called the Halasana, plow posture, all of these postures enable the body to send a message to the mind. It is a somato-psychic mechanism. This is how it works. You change the way you hold your body, you change the way you feel and emote, and you change the way you contemplate and respond. The old brain is reactive. The new brain gives you the choice to respond. Respond, don't react. Be reflective, not reflexive. Everybody is reflexive, very few are reflective. And I don't mean anything to do with your pool. Sorry. In case some of you don't know, my mother was born in the Midwest. And so I have 50% American genes in me. And then she came to India on a sabbatical from her PhD at the University of Minnesota. She stopped her PhD and said, I've had enough of learning about commentaries of commentaries on commentaries on commentaries on commentaries on commentaries on Shakespeare. She said, I got tired of that. And she said, I wanted to know about life, traveled across the world. In Greece, found a book on yoga, a small booklet, ended up in Pondicherry, studied with my father, married him, and produced me. Okay, that is the long story short. So yes, last time I was crossing the border police told me that they consider me American and I should not worry about my visa restrictions. It's good when you need to get through those border guys. Coming back. Reflexive is the danger. We always reflex. You hit me, I hit you. You like me, I like you. You don't like me, I don't like you. Bam, 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 bam. It's just front, back, playing table, ping pong, table tennis. Do, 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 do. Nothing else. Full bag of reflexes. We need to shift from that. My father used to call it the spinal cord mentality. The spinal cord is just reflexes. He said, come up into the head, reflect a bit. When you start to reflect, you can respond rather than react. So when we bend forward, and each individual is different. So when we look at the prime of life yoga and we look at people whose bodies are aging, because yes, if we are born, we are going to die, and in between we are going to age. There's no changing that, okay? But how well do we age? That is our choice. Do we age with grace? Ammaji used to say, can we age with grace? That is a choice. That choice is empowered by yoga. So here, when we bend forward, we are creating humility, acceptance, and we are coming into a state where we can feel safe with ourselves. The most safe space is found within us, not outside. The second type of practices are back bending. Again, when we back bend, we must remember to keep our eyes open. This is a warning I keep on giving people because often when they back bend and they think I'm going to do meditation back bending, I'm like, please don't. Because what happens is our balance and coordination is governed by the back of the brain, a part called cerebellum, and the inner ear, which is the vestibular mechanisms, vestibular cochlear, inner ear balance mechanisms, and the inputs from the eyes. So balance depends to a great extent on what we are seeing. And the moment you close your eyes, it is okay if you're bending forward and you are safe or you're lying down. But if you're back bending and you lose balance and your eyes are closed, it could be catastrophic. And when you close your eyes, we are shutting down an important input to our coordination and balance mechanism. So please keep your eyes open as you back bend. Again, depending on the individual capacities. So as we age, the spine ages the fastest. Our spine is the one that ages the fastest. And we pay the least attention to it. The moment we have white hair, we want to color it. The moment, we have wrinkles, we want Botox. The problem is the moment the externalized part ages, we want to do something about it. But the most important fulcrum of human existence is the spine. And it is aging and we don't care about it because we don't see it. Unless you do an X-ray or a magnetic resonance imaging, then you see it and then you see how bad it is. Today, people who are 20 have spines that are equivalent to what used to be 60, 65. That's how bad the spinal health is. So the spine and all the intervertebral discs, those discs need to be hydrated. So one of the key elements I tell people when they want to do back bends and forward bends and work with the spine, make sure you are drinking enough water. And that we don't do. We drink Coke, Diet Coke or non-Diet Coke, all are going to kill you soon. So flush it down your toilet. Coke dehydrates you. Caffeine dehydrates you. Full stop. So I'm not against it. Have it. But remember, you are dehydrating yourself. So take an extra cup of pure water. Just water. I am not talking about water with additives and all that is secondary. Pure water. Our body needs at least 2000 milliliters of water per day to be adequately hydrated. And I love it that this is the point where Catherine and others will reach for the bottle and drink a sip. I always say people can identify the students of my tradition from 100 yards by seeing one thing is they carry a water bottle into town. On Thursdays, they have the day off from the ashram. And if you see them in town, you know it is Ananda Ashram student because they have a bottle of water. Hydration is stressed in our tradition. Many people in some traditions say, don't drink water while you're doing yoga and all. I'm like, what they mean is something else. But as you do the practices, you are dehydrating, you are sweating. Make sure you sip water. Again, sipping, because when you sip water, it hits the back of the throat. The back of the throat has very sensitive nerves, the glossopharyngeal plexus. When you sip the water and let it be in the back of the throat for a few seconds, you absorb the essence of the prana in that water. Gulping it down doesn't do the same. Chewing food gives you prana. Gulping it down just gives you empty calories. And this is why chew your food and drink your water by sipping it. When you sip the water, you hydrate your tissues. When your tissues are hydrated, they can function optimally. And the most important part with the spine, the intervertebral discs. Between two vertebrae, there's a disc. And this disc looks something like this in between. Okay. Now, if this disc is working well, it keeps the bones apart. And if the bones are apart, the flexibility of the spine will be maintained. But if the disc starts to become dehydrated, it starts to become like a dried kitchen sponge. And you know how easily those sponges break when they are dried. If that sponge is wet, even Arnold Schwarzenegger would struggle to tear it apart. But if it is dry, even a newborn kid can crush it. Your intervertebral discs are like that. So if we are hydrated, there will be a lengthening of the spine naturally, and that lengthening of the spine will give you the flexibility when you do your back bend. But if your spine is dehydrated and you push yourself into a back bend, you can harm yourself. And that is where then people talk about yoga injuries. My father used to say, yoga is as safe as mother's milk. That was a statement he made 60 years ago. Yoga is as safe as mother's milk. And then 20 years after that, he said, but even mother's milk is not safe these days. That was the second part of his quote he added 20 years later. And when the New York Times ran a issue and they had a quote by him, they phoned me and said, is that your father's quote? I said, yes, but there's a second part. They didn't do that as usual. They only kept the first part. Yoga is safe, but when done with intelligence, when done with mindfulness, when done with awareness. Careless, unaware, mindless yoga is injurious to health. And that is what we see a lot these days. And this is why it is important to slow down. When you are fast, you cannot be mindful. If you are zooming down that highway at 200 miles an hour, you cannot see anything. You cannot respond. But if you are going down at the normal, legitimate, approved speed, you can respond in that moment. This is why slowing down is important in yoga practice. Not just when we become older, everyone. See, once in a while, you want to get a bit of adrenaline going. You want to burn a few calories. If you want to burn calories, don't do yoga. And this whole idea of yoga and burning calories, it is total nonsense. You can burn much more calories. You can get your zone minutes. I get all my zone minutes from my cycling. I go 40 minutes of cycling every day. I burn my calories. I get all my zone minutes when I do that. It doesn't happen with your yoga practice. So yoga is not about burning calories. Yoga is not about zone minutes. Yoga is about finding that ease within ourselves where we can respond rather than react. That is the core element of yoga. So when we do the back bends, why do we do a back bend? To enhance the self-esteem. The self-esteem is enhanced by opening up the chest, where you can understand, I am someone who has worth. I am not worthless. I am someone who can help myself. I am not helpless. In psychology, they talk about learned helplessness, where people feel helpless. They don't know what to do. In salatogenesis, which is my primary field for this decade, which focuses on all the factors that enable us to maintain, sustain, regain, and promote health, we talk about that sense of coherence, where you say that, yes, my life, I can understand what is happening. I can manage it, and it has purpose. If you can understand your life, if you can manage it, and if it has purpose, your salatogenesis is perfect, sense of coherence is there, and you will be able to manage the stressors of life better than anyone in this world. But as a practicing physician, what do I see most of the time? A lack of that. A sense of incoherence, where people come to me, they say, Dr. Ananda, I have no idea what is happening in my life. I have no clue what is going on. The second one, I don't know how to manage it at all. And a common statement, nothing's worth it. I don't know why we are going through this. It doesn't have any meaning at all for me. These are the three statements. I deal with a lot of young people in our university. Many of them have that issue. And we have programs, salatogenesis, wellness for every student in our university, which is a different topic. We need self-esteem. We don't need ego. So it is self-esteem which says, I am good. I have worth. and I can. My mother used to make it in a beautiful phrase. She said, I can, I will, I am able. I can, I will, I am able. And she said, as you develop the human consciousness, as you move out of the primitive animal consciousness, because the animal consciousness says, I can't, I won't, I'm not able. That is the subhuman. I can't, I won't, I'm not able. And when you come up to the power of choice up in the prefrontal cortex, this part, suddenly you can say, I will, I can, I'm able. That is the change. So we want self-esteem. We want the sense that I am ready to face the world. I will face the challenge and do the best I can. Become a brave heart. That comes from that back bending. Whether you do it from standing, sitting, lying down, on the chair, with a prop, on the bed, that is immaterial. That is the choice that we make when we work with people. If somebody cannot sit up and needs a prop, give them the prop and help them to do a modified back bend. If they need to lie down, can we lie on the bed and hang the head just off the edge of the bed? Be careful with these ideas, but this is something I do a lot. Get up in the morning after I do my morning practice. If I feel a bit lazy, I say, okay, I'm going to lie in bed for 10 more minutes. But what I do is I keep my head off the edge of the bed so my head is down. So I have a modified back bend. There is blood going to my brain, and I'm having a beautiful sense of relaxation, self-esteem, and getting ready to face the world in what will be a multidimensional day with the number of people I have to deal with and the number of challenges that come up. Create that. So forward bending, humility, composure, a sense of calm, you become a bundle. You know, the beauty of these forward bending is like you hug yourself. We're always looking for somebody to hug us, but we never hug ourselves. We actually have a practice where what we do is we put one hand on one part of the chest, the other, and we hold ourselves and we try to breathe against the palms. So we breathe and breathe out. And you feel your chest moving. It's a beautiful practice. Similarly, bring it under your armpits a bit more, so the upper part of the chest. And again, that same thing where you breathe and breathing out, breathing in and breathing out. And then another one, bring your hand to the other side of the shoulder and hold yourself a bit like this, okay? And then you try to breathe into upper part of the lung. And breathing out. So you can do the low lung, the mid lung, and the upper lung. And you're hugging yourself. We actually call it Manmata Kriya, which means the god of love, Cupid, and the Cupid action, where you are giving yourself a nice hug. And when you breathe like that, when you place your hands are an extension of your heart. The hands are an extension of the heart. And that is why especially, Italians and Indians, we use our hands a lot when we speak. If you want to keep an Italian quiet, tie the hands behind the back, they cannot talk. I do that with my Italian students. Yes, it is amazing because we always need. It's beautiful. I just love my Italian yoga family. I tell them I must have had a recent lifetime there because I I love the language, I love the food, I love the culture. I just feel so at home there when I'm there. And the way it's so beautiful. The hands are an extension of the heart. And that is why when you meet people who just stand, stiff and talk to you, you have to be very careful. You have no idea what they're feeling. Mhm. Politicians are very dangerous in that way. We have to understand the hands. So when you use your hands and you feel your own breath, you are communicating to that most important Anahata chakra, the heart center. That is the seat of youthfulness. And in fact, the Bija mantra itself for the heart center is young. Like pronounced like you say Young, young, young at heart. Young, young. It's with a nga. Now, most people, because of miscommunication, the world thinks it is yum, as in being yummy. It's not about yum. Yum is the inner sound. The inner sound must happen. The sound you make is yang, the nasal twang. Yang, nga, nga, nga. It's a nga. Young, like young at heart. So when we work on the anahata, we are working on the energy that enables us to have that youthful zest for life. So when we open up, when we do a back bend, we are opening up this area. When you open this area, the universal prana can flood into this area because you have created an opening. But if you walk around like this all the time and you do nothing, the universe says, where can I get the energy into you? There's no window open. You open the window and the universe says, you're ready? I'll give you some pranic infusion. And suddenly you have that energy. You have that exuberance. You have that amazing capacity to emote in a very regulated way. Emote in a regulated way. One of the key aspects of yoga is self-regulation. You don't need external regulation. External regulation will always have dictatorial tendencies. Internal regulation has the autonomy of choice. And that is why self-regulation, inner regulation, is such an important aspect as we go on this journey. Similarly, aspirational statements, for example, when I stretch up in the Talasana like this, when I stretch like this, I am stretching the whole spine and I am creating a somatic movement, the body movement that says, I would like to stretch my limits. I would like to grow. I would like to grow into my potential. We are all born with great potential. Problem is we don't manifest it. My father used to talk about that with the breath. He said, God breathed into man the breath of life. And he said, and he expected man to keep it going. But man forgot about the breath. And actually, it's a very beautiful statement. We have that amazing potential, but we don't actualize it. We have that potential, we don't manifest it because we are so busy doing things. We have become a human doing. You know, when you meet somebody, what do you say? How do you do? The next question, what do you do? Then the future question, why do you do what you do? And when do you do what you do? And with whom do you do what you do? It's all about doing, 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 doing. And so we are defined by what we do. But as a human being, we have to be defined and refined by who we are. When you are being human, you are a true human being. To be human is the purpose of being born human. The doing is secondary. They are labels. I am a doctor. I am a teacher. I am an engineer. I am an artist. I am a father. I am a husband. I am a son. I am. That's all identities. That's all identities. Those are identities that are acquired. They are not who we are. Very difficult. Because the moment you start to go into yourself, how do you go into yourself? With every practice, the moment I'm opening up, I breathe in. When I breathe out, I come back. So breathing in is a movement away from myself. Breathing out is a chance to come back and settle in myself. When I stretch, breathing in, going away from myself. Breathing out, coming back to myself. So at the end of each practice, you have gone away from yourself. But when you breathe out, where have you come? You have come back to your own self. You have strengthened that you. You are starting to strengthen you as a being. And that is why most of the time, When we stretch up, we breathe in. When we come back, we breathe out. When we open the chest, we breathe in. When we breathe out, we come back. You twist, breathe in and twist. Now, with the twist, you breathe in, and then what do? You breathe out and you go further into the twist. That's a beautiful way to do it. Because what happens? You have moved, so you come up to here, okay? And then what do? You breathe out and you can go a bit more. That extra bit happens. Then you breathe in that extended part, you breathe in. And then as you breathe back, you come back to your center. You breathe in and you turn. This is all you can turn. But then you breathe out, you can turn a bit more. Breathe in at that point and feel that twist. And then as you breathe out, you come back to your central balance. So what is happening is when you go into that practice, you're going into the practice with the breath. In the practice, when you breathe out, you can go deeper into the practice, because breathing out is going deeper into your own essential nature. You know, when we are born on the first grand inhalation and we die on the last grand exhalation. So life can be defined as the time period between the first grand inhalation and the last grand exhalation, which by virtue of that formula means every breath is a mini lifetime. Every time you breathe, it is an opportunity to restart. Forget the past, focus on the present, and create the future. But what do? Constantly we are caught in the past. That happened 20 years ago. This happened 30 years ago. Last week this happened. I could have done that. I should have. In psychology, they talk about the tyranny of the should. I said not just should, could also. I could have done that. I could have done this. I could have made that choice. I should have done that. Okay, you did it. 20 years ago, you did it. 10 years ago, you did it. This morning, you did it. Last night, you did it. Okay, fine. What is the present moment? The present moment is the best present we have from the universe. And it is in this moment you can make a conscious choice to change things. Change begins in the present moment. Change does not lie in the past or the future. It is in the present moment we have the power to choose. And when we regulate our breath, when we regulate our body, and when the body movements and the breath are synchronized, the mind becomes clear. As the mind becomes clear, our choices will be of the highest nature, and they will be apt for us. So coming back, that what does the twist do? Again, a twist could be standing, sitting, chair, no chair, wall. I do an entire sequence in my room in the morning because I have a very nice doorway that faces the back garden. And as the sun comes up in the morning, I can go and stand at my door and I do a beautiful twist where I use the doorway to catch the opposite side and twist. And similarly this, and then stretching up and down. And because my room and the outside veranda is about half a foot difference, I can try to see how far my fingers can go down that. You don't need to go to a yoga studio. You can do it wherever you are. Your doorway can become a doorway of yoga. Your bed can become a bed of yoga. Your car can become a car of yoga. Your chair can become a chair of yoga. Because wherever you are, yoga can be there. Today we have been told that in order to do yoga, again I have a lot of issues with this do yoga. We have to become yoga. But anyway, we have to be yoga. But in order to do yoga, you need all this paraphernalia. See, all you need is yourself. And you could do it standing. A twist could be standing, sitting, lying down. Beautiful twists you can do by bringing the knees up, taking the knees to the opposite side, spreading your arms and just giving a good twist with the knees going to this way. It's an amazing way to keep your spine flexible. A flexible spine is a healthy spine. If the spine loses its flexibility, it impacts every organ system because all the nerves of the body that bring information to the brain come up through the spine. and all the information from the brain to the body goes to the body parts through the spine. And the most important bridge, like the beautiful golden bridge, I remember that beautiful bridge when I was there with Rajudev. You know, the bridge is your neck. And this is why the first part of the spine that gets impacted is the neck. Because we have 7 small vertebrae. The cervical vertebrae are the smallest, thinnest, and the most fragile. They are thin, small, and fragile so that we can move our head and neck in all directions like the famous Indian nod. Yeah, in India, you come and you ask anybody anything, you never know, it's just this head nod, and you need a PhD to understand whether they said yes or no. Huh? It's a big challenge here. We have had students in the ashram at the end of 6 months for the final Guru Dakshina have done skits on the Indian nod, and we have all been, rolling on the floor with laughter because it can be so hilarious. Huh? To do that, you need a flexible neck. You need a very flexible neck. And that is the first part that gets lost. The second part, of course, is the lumbar spine. Those sumo wrestler, huge guys down there, the lumbar vertebrae, they are the sumo wrestlers holding up everything. And they get tired. And so lumbar spondylitis, cervical spondylitis, prolapsed disc in the neck, prolapsed disc in the lumbosacral region. This is the commonest issue. Why? Because we have not taken care of our spine. So if you are bending forward, you are bending back, you are twisting right and twisting left, elongating the spine a bit, and then you can do a nice lateral movement where you do a bit of lateral movement. This also can be done in a doorway. And again, going into it and seeing what you can do. Immediately, your spine is going to feel happy. If somebody is sitting next to you for half an hour and they never look at you, they never talk to you, they never interact with you, would you feel good about it? I hope not. I hope not. And here's the spine, and we are never interacting with it. We are never saying, hello, how are you? For me, every body part, every cell in our body is endowed with consciousness. You can talk to your cells. You can talk to your organs. And this is not hocus pocus, nonsense. This is reality because every cell has consciousness flooding through it. Today, our neuroscientists are like small kids looking for consciousness only in the brain. As a small kid, if you had we had radios. Even I don't know whether you even know what a radio looks like. We had radios and tape recorders, and we had tape, these tapes, and we would have a pencil to roll it. Today it's amazing the changes. I think my generation was very lucky that we saw a lot of the older things and we are seeing a lot of the new things. Actually, we have our generation, my generation very specifically, has been a good bridge between these changes. So we can compare it. It's quite amazing. But kids would sit in front of the radio, and then later on the television, and you would hear a voice in that radio. And usually boys are notorious for this, would take the radio apart, trying to find the person whose voice they heard in the radio. They would take that radio apart. Kids would take the television apart, trying to find the person hiding in that closet who was speaking on that TV. This is what happens with kids, because I remember my daughter, she was very young, and I was on TV, and we had gone to the town center. We don't have a TV in the ashram. Of course, with computer now, we don't need a TV, so everything is there. But even in those days, so we were there to watch a program on one of our dance dramas. And so it was being aired on the TV. And I remember my daughter, she was watching me on the television, and she was looking at me, and then she was looking at the TV and looking at me. And I could, hear her thoughts. How is Papa here and there at the same time, because for children, it's quite a challenge to understand. So a small kid dismantling the radio set looking for the person is cute. But a grown-up scientist dismantling the brain, trying to find thoughts, is not cute anymore. And these people think that consciousness only resides in the brain, and they are so wrong. They are so wrong. We live in consciousness like the fish swims in the ocean. And this is why the brain is only the receiving. There's a radio, television, computer, mobile phone that gets the signal. Every cell has consciousness. So, when we communicate with the body, when you do your yoga practices, the different asanas, the pranayama, the contemplative practices, I avoid the term meditation. I use the term contemplation because I believe the way we use meditation these days is too flippant. Sitting quietly with your eyes closed is sitting quietly with your eyes closed. It's not necessarily meditation. Meditation is a state that occurs when you have earned it. Through the contemplation, through that effort that we make, we become worthy, and that state of meditation manifests. That is why my father used to say meditation is a noun, not a verb. It's a noun. It's a state that has to manifest. So I use the term contemplation. All of these practices, what are they doing? They are enabling us to communicate with our own existence. So every practice we do, when we are working on the spine, the neck, a very important practice is what we call Brahma Mudra. Brahma is the Indian, part of the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, who is said to be the creator and all that. But the main factor here is he is shown with 4 heads, 4 directions, the 4 cardinal directions. In this practice, we turn to the right and we come back to the center. So that is 1 head. We turn to the left and we come back. That is the 2nd head. We lift the head up and come back down, 3rd head, and bring the chin down and bring it back. That is the 4th head. So the idea is that you are starting to understand different dimensions, different perspectives. So when I breathe in and turn to the right, I am suddenly seeing, oh my God, there is this perspective that I was missing. As long as I was only looking here, I missed what was happening there. When I turned there, now I see there's something happening there. But now I come back. Now when I come back here, that remains in my perspective. When I turn to the left, I am becoming aware of a new perspective. But when I come back to the center, I am bringing that into my central perspective. When I lift the head up, oh, there's a ceiling. Okay, what's happening up there? Now I bring that into my perspective. And when I bend down, now all of whatever is happening at the ground level, I bring it to my perspective. So I am creating a perspective that has become expansive rather than a narrow, horse with blinkers perspective that is so common in the world together, that is creating so much of trouble, because the moment I'm like this, everything other than what I can see is false. Everything other than what I can see is wrong. Everything other than what I can see is a threat. But the moment I remove my blinkers and the moment I start to have this multi-dimensional perspective, I have expanded my whole consciousness. So there's a beautiful change in our perspective. We are not losing our perspective. We are enhancing and expanding our perspective to now include multi-dimensional perspectives in our own perspective. We are becoming expanded. It's not a dilution, it is an expansion. So in this practice, normally what we do is we breathe in and we move away. So breathing in is moving away. Remember I said breathing in is moving away, breathing out is coming back to yourself. So here we breathe and we move to the right. Now, as I come back, we make a guttural sound. The sound of it's a guttural sound. I will just change my audio settings so the sound will come together. You'll hear a little bit of the background noise, but you'll hear the sound better. Otherwise, the sound gets cut. So when I breathe in, I move to the right. Coming back, I make the sound. So the I hope the sound carried till the end, because that is why I made the change. When I move to the left, I breathe and I turn. And when I come back, I make a sound of ooh. This is a ooh sound where we pucker the lips up as ooh. The first sound is ah. It's an open mouth, guttural sound. Ah. Hope my sound is coming through clearly, because if I put the noise, when you want to reduce the noise, it reduces this also. That's why I've changed it to that musician's side. So the is a nice guttural. Then it is a ooh. Then when I breathe in and take my chin up, it's not a back bend, it's just the chin going up. Now breathing out, I make a sound which is a E. A sound of E. E. This is a sound which is very specific as a bija, a seed sound for the pineal gland. The pineal gland is worked on with the sound E. And if you were doing it alone and not in the sequence, you could add a to it, which then it becomes an E. So it's not just E, but E with a because the fourth part is the ma, and I'll come back to it. Bringing the chin down as you breathe in, and then coming back a sound of So is a guttural sound. All languages start with the ah. The ah is a base sound, a fundamental sound. Oo is now where your lips and the oral cavity is coming into place. The back of the throat is the ah. Ooh. Then E is the top, the palatal sound. E. And when this E is done, you are working on especially the pineal gland. And then the labial sound. That is a sound of satiety. How was the meal? Did you have enough? Do you need more? Is a sound of satiety. And that is why, like in the Brahmari, when they do the humming bass sound and all, that is a tranquilizer, because it gives that sense of satiety. Why are we so agitated these days? Because there's no satiety in anything. If you say I have enough, they'll say, how can you be normal and say you have enough? You should want more. It's all built on more. I say, you don't need more. All you need is less. All you need is less. Because with that comes serenity, comes placidity, comes tranquility, comes balance. But anyway, that's a different story. So what we do, and you could try it out with me, we'll just try it out and see how it goes. I will later on share some YouTube videos on this that you can use to practice and review. And my YouTube channel has thousands of videos for free download, because I believe in copy left, not copyright. I believe copy left is the way forward. All this knowledge has come through great teachers of so many traditions. I am not the source of the knowledge, I'm only the mouthpiece. And so the mouthpiece doesn't hold on to it. So a lot of videos are there, and I will share a lot of resources later on about that. So coming back, we breathe in and moving away to the right. As we breathe out, the sound of turning to the left, breathing in. And as we breathe out, coming back to the center with the sound. Now breathing in and lifting the chin up. Breathing out and coming back down with the sound of and finally the chin coming down as you breathe in. And breathing out, coming back to the center with a sound. So the 4 movements, right, left, up and down, each time we are breathing in and moving away from the center. Each time we are breathing out and coming back to the center. And the breathing out, we have the 4 sounds, A, U, E, This practice is called the Brahma Mudra, one of the best practices for the cervical vertebrae, the neck, the shoulders, the upper back. And this is a practice that I would say at least 300 days out of 365 I do in the morning when I get up. So one of the first things I do when I get out of bed, I do some quiet sitting. I do this practice, center myself, and then after that I start the other activities of the day, the morning arati and the morning practices, depending on what that day needs. You have to anticipate what that day needs. Does it need you to be active that day? The practices are different. Is it going to be a restful day? The practices are different. Are you going to be challenged a lot? Practices are different. Are you going to have a chance to, just be yourself? Practices are different. And this is how we find that balance. It's not a protocol. Nowadays in yoga therapy, one of the biggest criticisms I have, and our Indian government, I'm on all the committees and I struggle as a single voice against the multitude, that individuals are not standardized. Each individual is unique. And so yoga cannot be a protocol for everybody. You cannot say these are the 10 practices for everybody, because everybody is not the same. Each one of us is unique. Each human being is unique. We can have guidelines, but we cannot make a standardized protocol. All my doctor friends get mad at me. They say, we have to have a standardized protocol for diabetes, a standardized protocol for cancer, a standardized protocol for this and that and that and this. And I'm like, where do you find a standardized human being? Everyone is unique. But we can say these are the practices that may be useful, need to be applied as appropriate to the individual. That is where our intelligence comes in. And yoga teachers and yoga therapists need both intelligence and empathy. Both are important. Your head should also be working and your heart should also be working. If your head and heart are not connected, you are in trouble, which is why I never wear a tie. And my university, whenever they have a convocation, they say you have to wear your tie. And I'm like, you might as well hang me from the tree, because the moment you wear a tie, you disconnect the head and the heart. And I say, I want my head and heart connected. I don't want them disconnected. The neck is strengthened. These muscles are strengthened. The shoulder is strengthened. We published a paper on the use of Brahma Mudra many years ago. But along with that physicality, In fact, we had a vice chancellor of the Pondicherry University, and he was in his 80s and came for a 1 month. It was a 3 month, uh, twice a week, 3 month program. We had a certificate program for the Senior Citizen Association of Pondicherry. They still call it that. I wish they had Larry's, approach and called it Prime of Life Society of Pondicherry. That would be so much better. But he was part of it. And on the last day, during the final day, he said, people talk about yoga giving so many benefits. He said, the most important benefit I have got is enhanced turn ability. He said, my ability to turn has got enhanced by these practices, and especially the Brahma Mudra. Because of that stiffness of the spine, what happens as we age is somebody calls us from there and the whole body turns like this. Somebody calls here, the whole body turns. You have to turn the whole body because the whole spine has got stiff, has got, fused. When you do these practices, you learn that principle of turn ability, the ability to turn in a proper way. It was a very beautiful message he gave us. And this Brahma Mudra, on top of this, also works with a very, very popular thing, which is the polyvagal theory. And they talk about the ventral vagus. This ventral vagus is where you are relaxed and there's social engagement. The Brahma Mudra enhances that part. So rather than going into a shell, instead of going into that well, you go out and meet people and you feel at ease. And that is why the ventral vagus, part of the polyvagal theory, there's a dorsal vagus and a ventral vagus. The ventral vagal, which is social engagement, comes with this practice. It's a very beautiful one, and making the sound along with its own vibrational essence releases a lot of the pent-up stresses. Because whenever we are stressed, we hold it in, suppressed and repressed, and we harm ourselves. How can we express? Don't suppress, don't repress, but express in a self-regulated way. This is where we use the sound. So regulated self-expression rather than repression and suppression, which both harm us in the long term. And this is where another practice. Larry, I'm not too sure how long I can go. Tell me in case I overstep my time, okay? Because I have an on button, no off button. And that is what my mother used to say as a
Don't stop. Today is too good. I'll change the whole program around you. You're the best one, and every time I say it, but this one is fantastic.
Thank you, Larry.
Welcome.
My mother used to say Ananda has an on switch, no off switch. And I tell people I'll always start on time, but I never know if I'll end on time. So I say it would be a 60-minute class. It ends up as 4 hours. You never know. It won't be that long today, don't worry. Another practice which I always want to suggest, and this can be done sitting, standing, and all. And as we have been sitting for quite some time, if you want to take a small standing, I will continue this standing so we can do it. I remember Larry talking about standing being the new smoking some years ago. So this practice, okay, this practice is another very interesting one where we are going to address a lot of the anxieties that are part of us. So let's first just shake a little bit. Just give a nice shake like this. You can move yourself in a nice way. Let the whole body give a shake. If you want to make a small dance out of it, you can also do that. And it's a good way to just loosen up. A little bit of the turn to the right and the left and all. And now just shaking, shaking, shaking. Now catch hold of any tension that you think of. Anything that comes to mind right now. Hold that tension tight in your hands. Take in a deep breath. And now with a whoosh, we are going to throw that away. And we just whoosh it away like that. Again, we are going to shake a little bit. Just shake a little. Shaking is always waking. It is good. Now catch hold of that any tension that is still there. Take in a deep breath. And now we throw it out. This type of release, this is us telling ourselves, I want to let go of it. And then what we do is we place our hands on the upper part of the abdomen. Okay, so I'll just tilt the camera a bit so you can see that. So this upper part of the abdomen, we place the hands here. And we are going to use a sound, which is the sound of ha. Okay, so it is a sound of ha, 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 ha. So what we do is we make this a bit rhythmic. So it goes ha, 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 ha. Okay, and when we work on this area, all the anxiety of performance can be dissipated. This is the performance anxiety. Whenever you have to perform and there's a lot of anxiety, butterflies in the stomach, sinking feeling in the stomach, ha, 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 and you get rid of it. Ha, 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 ha. We get. Now with the chest, this is where there's a lot of relationship anxiety. Will they like me? Will they not like me? All that type of she likes me not, all that type of stuff that people go through. It's all here. So here the sound is a sound of ho. So here it is like Santa Claus, he goes around ho, 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 like that. So this is Santa Claus, the big giver, the large-hearted giver. Okay, sir? Here it is ho, 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 ho. So here it is the letting go of relationship anxiety. At the abdomen, performance anxiety, ha, 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 ha. Here, relationship anxiety, ho, 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 ho. And then at the upper part of the chest and the neck region, this is the part where we have a lot of, anxiety because of our ego. I am the big doctor. I am the big guru. I am the boss. Nobody respects me. You all need to respect me more. All that idiosyncrasies that come from what I call status, the perceived status and the ego is up here. And so here, what we do is a sound he, 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 he. So down here, ha, 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 ha. At the chest, ho, 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 ho. Here, he, he. And we let go of all these anxieties that are being stored within us. Then we address the back of the head. This back of the head, this is the region where you have the brainstem and the survival. So this is the part that says I should have it and only me. So it's a lot of me, 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 me. And when you go me, you become very mean. Okay, so you should look very mean when you do this. Me, 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 me. And then we shift from that survival mode to the thriving mode, prefrontal cortex, where the higher intellect, the buddhi. So here it is dhi, 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 dhi. So we are shifting from the me, to the dhi, 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 dhi. Dhi is old English for the other person also. Dhi is the other person. So you're thinking of the other person. Here you're only thinking of yourself. Me, me. And we shift it to dhi, 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 dhi. And then finally we realize all of this is just a big drama that we are playing on this place called Earth. We are here, as Shakespeare says, to come and say our lines and get off the stage at the end of our role. And so what we do is we let go of it and we say, go, 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 go. And we just let go of everything. So this is a practice. I'll also share a video of it where I explain it and we do it. So we do this. Let's try it out, okay? We'll do each one 3. So each part will be 3. Ha, 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 ha. Ha, 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 ha. Ha, 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 ha. Ho, 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 ho. Ho, 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 ho. Ho, 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 ho. He, 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 he. He, 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 he. He, 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 he. Me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. The. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. And now you can sit down. Now that we have got rid of all that anxiety, all that suppressed, repressed stuff, we can let go of it. And immediately you feel so light. Immediately you feel lighter. Immediately, there's a sense of ease that comes in. And immediately, that I do this. This is one of my most popular practices that whenever I go to conferences and all, we do a lot of this. And always people will have a nice smile on the face at the end of it. That is one of the surest things that happens because you feel at ease. Always we are so uptight. So here we were working on 3 parts of anxiety. That is performance anxiety. Performance anxiety is at the abdominal area, the stomach. Remember butterflies in the stomach sinking, or, just as you have to get on stage to give your speech, you have to run to the toilet. Your bowels have gone loose. That happens to everyone. Performance. So, ha, 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 ha. Empowers your solar plexus. Ha is the sound of the sun. So the solar plexus is empowered. You dissipate that anxiety. Ho, 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 ho is the relationship anxiety. When you are having relationship issues and you don't know how to deal with it, and we all have it at multiple levels. This ho, 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 let's go of it. Otherwise, it's just going to hold you and give you a heart attack. Let go of it and let your heart blood vessels open up and flood good, healthy, oxygen-rich blood to every bit of the muscle. Up here is the he. This deals with all our positional status-based anxieties. And, I must remind you, offense is always taken, never given. Nobody gives offense. We only take. Why do we take? Because we think too much of ourselves. We feel we have not been respected enough. We feel that we are bigger than what is being treated to us. And that is why this deals with that very much. And then to address the core element, which is survival. Patanjali talks of the kleshas, and one of the kleshas is abhinivesha, survival instinct. And it is very deeply ingrained in the brainstem, which controls your respiration, circulation, and all. And when you address this, it is like you are telling that old brain, you better behave well, my eyes are on you. That's what you're doing when you go, me, 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 me. It is a, oh my God, I better behave. The survival, which is just me, 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 me. And then you shift from the back of the brain to the front of the brain. This is what happens in pranayama. Normal breathing is driven by the brainstem. Pranayama is driven by the prefrontal cortex. And the biggest change in pranayama is from survival to thriving mode. You're not just surviving anymore. You are thriving. You are sharing, caring, nurturing, flourishing. That happens here. That buddhi. The buddhi is the higher discernment. That higher discernment that gives us clarity. It's up here. And then we realize ultimately, why are we getting so worked up about all of this? Does it really matter in the end? We are all wise in hindsight. We are all wise in hindsight. If just we could be wise at that moment, life would be so much easier. I look back, we all have this. I look back at things I did 20 years ago and I can laugh at it now. But at that time, I thought it was life or death. At that time, it was very, very harsh. Today, I can talk about it and I can find meaning in it and I can laugh about it. Why? Because of the distance. And that is why just letting go, go. And see, when, this is holding on. This is letting go. When you let go, as they say, you let go and let God. I say let Guru. For me, it's Guru and God are one and the same. Let go and let God. See, the idea that unless you create space a miracle cannot occur. If you're holding on, miracles cannot occur. When you let go, the miracle occurs. Now, doing nothing is not going to give the miracle, okay? So that's why I say, do your best, then leave the rest. The first part is important. Do your best, leave the rest. Now, if you only do your best and you don't leave the rest, you're going to overshoot the target. And if you leave the rest without doing your best, you'll never get out of bed. And that is why one needs that balance. And that is why these practices bring that life philosophy, a change in the way we perceive life, right down into the present moment. So these were some thoughts I wanted to share today with all of you, Larry. And you said there are some questions. I'll be happy to address them.
Oh, you'll have some questions. And I think that Evan's going to ask you first.
Wow, you're right, Larry. I have so much to say. That was the most incredible, lesson ever. I'm so grateful, Doctor. There were moments where you had me crying, laughing. Obviously, it was just like so powerful, and it couldn't have come at a better time. Like I woke up this morning, and I was frazzled from the moment I woke up. Like, the first thing I did was go on my phone. I saw something that annoyed me. That put me in, like, a bad mood. I was just, like, running around frantic this morning. I also have a big improv show tonight. And so, the performance anxiety here, obviously that helped. There was just a million gold nuggets that you gave us. Like, I'm so glad that we're going to get this recording because I'm gonna just rewatch this what you gave us, and I took notes, and I have a lot to say and ask. Where are you based out of, if you don't mind me asking? Where are you now?
It's a place in India at the bottom of the map called Pondicherry. And this Pondicherry used to be a French territory. So
Okay,
while the British ruled the rest of India, the French ruled Pondicherry. And
got you.
I was born and brought up here,
So South India, you said.
South India. It's just south 3 hours of Madras or Chennai, the big city.
Okay, you don't speak Hindi.
I learned Hindi when I was in medical school because I did my medical training in North India. So I
Oh yeah,
learned Hindi. So I speak Hindi when it's needed, but Tamil, which is our local dialect, is
yeah.
my first language.
Okay, amazing. So I mean, there's a million things I could ask you, but one big thing that stuck with me, I just I just love so much of what you said. But the I'm so I one big part of my life right now is I'm stuck between, it's not stuck, but there's a million incredible spiritual gifts that I've been given by people like you, Professor Sasi, who's a dear friend of Larry and I, and it seems as if most of most of the incredible things in life happen when you become in touch with who you are, when you open your mind up, all the things you taught us today, when you become a receiver for consciousness around us, right? But then at the same time, I have big dreams. And I have big dreams, and I'm only 24, and part of me puts pressure on myself to do and to create and to be successful. And of course, there's always comparison. I'm looking around at others, but then I'm reminded, no, I have to trust, I have to become the truest form of myself. But then you also said, you still have to do your best. You can't just sit in meditation all day and trust that the synchronicities will happen. So can you just talk a little bit more about that, about how you sort of have to you have to find like the place in between where you're making an effort. And I love how you talked about talking to people, because that's brought me a lot of love recently, is getting out of my comfort zone and talking to people. And you know what I'm trying to say? How I want miracles to occur in my life. And they are. They absolutely are. But there's like a percentage, there's a balance, right?
Beautifully, man. If you were sitting in your garage with the car, okay, you're sitting in the garage with the car, you have to press the accelerator to get out of the garage and get onto the road.
Yeah.
But once you get onto the road, you have to apply the brake, because if you don't apply the brake, you'll ram your car into the neighbor's house. But if you press the brake while you're in the garage, the car will not go anyplace. So life is an interplay between finding those moments where we have to press ourselves, accelerator to move forward, but then also keep the brake moving so that the journey is regulated. Too much of accelerator is dangerous. Too much of brake, we go no place. And where does this come? The choice comes from a clarity that comes from trusting one's own inner voice. There is an inner voice. That inner voice will continue to guide you. It is always there. But because of the noise of our thinking, we are constantly being caught up in the noise of the thoughts. What is he doing? What is she doing? What is happening there? They got it, I got it, he got it, they like me, they don't like me. Did I do good? There's so much of noise that goes on that
Yeah.
that poor little soft, loving voice which is inside us, it is saying, just trust yourself. But we cannot hear it. And this is why when we sit quietly, when we slow the breath down, at that point, the best way to deal with the mind and the thoughts is to slow the breath down. The moment the breath is slowed, the thoughts are slowed. When the thoughts are slowed, the gap between the thoughts becomes bigger. And in that gap between the thought is where the answer lies. As a musician, I remind people, music does not lie in the notes. Music lies in the gap between the notes. As a percussionist, rhythm lies in the gap between the beats, not in the beats. And the moment we realize that in life, between the thoughts lies clarity, not in the thoughts. So we think, I'm going to think my way out of it. You will never think your way out of it because the thoughts are the problem. This is why focusing on the breath. The moment you slow down your breath, your thoughts are like, he's dealing with the breath. He's not going to look at me. We are fine. And then before they know what is happening, as you slow the breath down, you slow the thoughts down. And suddenly, as the thoughts become slower, the answer will unfold from within. Nobody can give you an answer from outside. All answers lie within ourselves. And that is where we have to trust it. I used to tell my daughter about this because she's about your age. And when she was in school and then in undergrad, she just completed her master's in psychology and now is doing her master's in yoga therapy with us at the university. An amazing, amazing young woman. But I used to tell her that whenever you are writing an exam, because in India we have a lot of exams, I said, whenever you're writing an exam and you get a certain answer that comes to you first, go by that answer. There's a tendency we write the answer, then we come back after some time and we doubt our answer, we change it, and then we find out the original one was correct and what we changed actually is wrong because we didn't trust our own self. And again in her schooling, she found that, and slowly she started to trust herself. And once she came to university, she has understood that. Same thing with life. There will be a moment where you will have that answer. Go with that answer. Don't doubt the inner voice. Go with it. And it is very soft. How do you know it? It's very soft.
Beautiful. And
Beautiful.
only because we have some more to go. Evan,
Thank
I
you
know
so
you made this
much.
connection that you guys will be forever.
I can't wait
Uh,
to visit you one day. Thank you
okay.
so much.
We didn't have a chance for you to meet Lee D'Angelo, who is also a longtime yoga teacher and very bright and inspires a lot of us here and does a lot of teaching herself. And she came in towards the end, but I just wanted you to meet her.
Lee, have we met before?
No, not that I'm aware of. I don't
Because
think
you
so.
seem familiar. Okay. You
I
seem
get
quite
that.
familiar, so I was just
I have a
wondering.
lot of doppelgangers.
You know what? She looks a lot like Lori.
There is similarity. Yes,
Lloyd
there's a
Rubenstein,
similarity.
and I saw
Uh,
that right away. They look a lot, and they're both wonderful. And I know that Catherine may have something. I wish our partner would be home soon to meet you, but he can
I
watch.
will. You were talking about the mudra we use for the Brahmari.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and
So
go
I
ahead.
will give that, and then if I will give an overview, and if you need any clarifications, you can ask me, and then I'll clarify.
Okay.
So for the Brahmari, which is our humming bee breathing, and one of the best techniques to tranquilize an overactive mind, agitated mind, anxiety, even depression, um, anything to do with the nervous system. If you want a tonic for the nervous system, the Brahmari, the bee sound is great.
Would you
And
say, sir, that that also is helpful for reversing dementia?
absolutely, absolutely. In fact, today I had a dear mentor of mine. He is a professor of health professions education, and helped me in many development of curricula at our university. Today I came to know he has Parkinson's, and so he's moved away from a lot of things. And the first thought I had was Brahmari for Parkinson's and the Brahma Mudra, which we did now, the 4-point side. These are practices that really, really work on the nervous system. And dementia, yes. Now, reversing dementia is a big challenge. But what I always feel is, can we at least halt the progression? That is something that I often think. And my own mother, after her stroke during COVID, she is bedridden for the last 6 years. Last night, she gave me a bit of a scare. She had a high fever, but she's been bedridden. But she is in an amazing state of yogic samadhi. She's just a gem, and teaching me so much by just being who she is. Um, but I remember that when the stroke happened, a lot of brain cellular damage has been there. But what we really found useful over the last 6 years is I sing a lot with her. And when we sing together, that is the best way to work on the memories, work on those neurons, because music, lyrics with the music go deeper than words alone. So this is something that I just always suggest if somebody wants to work with people who are struggling with memories, can you make it into a sing-song statement rather than a dry statement? And it is amazing that when I sing with her songs that we sang 40 years ago, she can sing and she reminds me of the words at times. So it's beautiful the way it happens. And I feel that has really helped her because she had actually had a stroke in the speaking area, Broca's area, and had lost her capacity to speak, got it back. It's degenerative and there are issues, but can we halt it? So yes, Brahmari is beautiful, nervous system tranquilizing as a prelude for contemplation. I use it a lot to help sort of just um, stabilize myself when I find myself a bit unstable. It's a very beautiful way when you start this sound, it starts to help you come back in. With the Brahmari, we use the hand gesture, and there are two names. One is Shanmukhi, which means the six face gesture. The second is Yoni, which means the womb. So just like a baby is in the mother's womb, that it gives that feeling of being in the womb, which means that you become very introspective. And there are two different ways this is done. In all of the ways, normally the thumbs are placed in the auditory canal so that you block out the sound. The idea is to block out the sound with the thumbs. Now, one
Sir,
pattern is
excuse me
where
1 second. Is it in the canal or press against the sides?
there are two ways. One, in fact, in my father's teachings, this he has like six different mudras that go in this way. One is where you close with the external tragus. This you actually close like this. This is one way. I prefer the one where you place your thumb inside. Just make sure you don't have sharp nails that cut your ear. But this way now I don't hear anything at all. Here, what happens is I still may hear something. Okay. So you could experiment with both like this, but I prefer when you place the thumb into the canal so you actually block out the sound. And when you're practicing on your own, please do that, because the more you block out the external noise, the more that inner voice can be heard. Then there are different ways. One methodology is where the first two fingers are placed on the eyes, the ring finger at the nose, little finger at the lips. This is one methodology. Okay. So this is one methodology which I actually like, because when you place two fingers over the eyes, you can block out more of the light. So it serves the purpose of blocking out the light. With the thumbs, you are blocking out the sound. So you can actually get a very, very sense of quiet darkness when you do that. However, there's also a version where you use the first finger over the eyes, the next finger at the next to the nostrils, the ring finger at the upper lip, and little finger at the lower lip, and then you do it this way. So this is also another variation that is done. Here the thing is, you have two fingers, the ring finger and little finger at the lips. So when you make the sound, you have two fingers to feel the vibration. So both are good. I personally, when I do my own sadhana, I do with the two fingers over the eyes, because if I put two fingers over the eyes and the thumb in the ears, now perfect. I've closed out everything. I'm in my own inner space. Why is this mudra very important? Because this is tracing the exact trigeminal nerve. It's one of our cranial nerves, trigeminal. Tri because it has three branches. The one branch goes to the orbit, the second to the maxilla, and the third to the mandible. So there's one going here, and one here. So when you're doing this, you are actually retracing the whole trigeminal nerve pathway. It's amazing what you're doing. And when you do this and you do the vibration through the trigeminal nerve, which takes care of all the sensations of your face and most of the muscular movements of your mastication, your chewing and all, the trigeminal. And there is a condition called trigeminal neuralgia, where it's a very painful condition of the face when this nerve gets impacted also. This mudra, when it is done and you do the Brahmari, what happens is that you create a pratyahara experience. This mudra is it is giving us the opportunity to go inward and withdraw ourselves from the sensory engagement. And in that withdrawal from sensory engagement, you make that sound of the Brahmara or the Brahmari, the male or female bee. What happens is that inner tranquility is the highest level of tranquility possible. So the two variations, in both variations, the thumb is in the canal. There is a version with the thumb pressing on the tragus like this. This is also possible. And it is fine. Some people find it comfortable, some don't. And two fingers over the eyes is a good one. Sometimes what they do is they also put it in a way that sort of you feel a bit of the orbital bone. So this is another way that some people do it, which is also nice because you can feel the vibration of the sound through the bones. The moment here is not to press it, but just to feel the vibration, because when you make the sound, when you make that sound, the nose will also be vibrating. Here also. So you can actually feel the whole vibration in your hands. And you'll remember I said earlier, the hands are an extension of the heart. And so what happens is you are taking this into you.
Does it make a difference of what pitch you're in? Like, for instance, high,
Good,
low,
good,
medium.
good. Absolutely. Now, my answer to this has been over the last 30 years of active teaching has been that each individual has a different pitch of voice. And you should try different pitches until your whole skull vibrates. So what I normally do when I do it is like I try out and I tell people also, you could try like, mm, I'll just change the setting because sometimes it cuts off the end of the, yeah, this is better. Sometimes it cuts off the end of the sound. I'll just give you a few examples. So we could have a sound like, or a sound like, for me, is where the whole skull was vibrating. For me, that was where it vibrates. So when you're teaching a class, it becomes a bit difficult because you want to maintain uniformity in everybody. But I ask people that try out, because the each person's voice has its own pitch, and that is how we identify different people. Some people are like, hello, how are you? And some are, hello, how are you? And then, hello, how are you? Each person has. So someone who's at a, hello, how are you? If I say, they're not going to feel comfortable. Somebody who's at a, hello, how are you? And I go, they will not feel comfortable. So here, the idea is you should feel that the whole skull is vibrating with that. And another thing is, more than a make it a I was talking of that nasal twang. Instead of like yum, it is young, young, like hung, young, lung, that nga. So similarly, if you have a bit of a nasal twang with a rather than a I hope the difference is coming. This is more a ma. This is more a na. I hope the mic is catching the difference because sometimes on Zoom,
Yes.
it has
Yes.
this noise suppression and it
No,
suppresses.
no, yes, no, definitely.
So rather than a this is what happens is the sound rises. This sound stays here. This the sound itself goes up. This is a very, very it just like it helps you like elevate. It's an elevatory experience with the sound.
Beautiful.
Wait,
Thank
so
you.
clarify, what sound are you making? Are you making the NG, the or
Yeah,
the
I prefer the NG because I feel that it has the greater impact of toning the whole nervous system. So suppose somebody has an overactive nervous system, it will bring that overactivity down to normal. If the nervous system is underactive, it will raise it to normal. Because that is the beauty of yoga. If it is overactive, it will become active. If it is underactive, it will become active. It finds the balance. My medical friends find that very difficult to believe. They are like, what are you talking about, Ananda? I'm like, yeah. They say hyperthyroid and hypothyroid. You give the same practice. I say, yeah. We give different medicines. I say, yeah, we are looking at balancing the thyroid. It's a very different approach. Of course, if somebody is having hypo-functioning thyroid, I would give right nostril breathing to create body heat. And if it is hyper, I would give left nostril. So I would add a few things. But in both of them, I'll give them the shoulder stand. Shoulder stand will work in both hyper and hypo, which modern medicine cannot understand because in hyper, they destroy. They give you medicine to destroy your thyroid and then put you on supplementation. And in hypo, they're putting you on supplementation. So, Yeah, many of my medical friends, they get a bit confused when I talk about it. But it's good because if they get confused, they'll start thinking. From confusion comes fusion, is a favorite statement I always give.
From confusion comes fusion.
Yep.
Fusion. Oh, that's a good one. Well, sir, I say this every time, but that was the best ever. And everybody, would you do me a favor and turn your mic, yeah, on your mics, and let's give this man an applause.
Woo!
Now, sir, you never take money from me or anything. Is there a cause that you have that we can donate to?
Your love empowers me, your goodwill empowers me. At my university, I often tell the management because it's a medical university and they get a lot of money from the medical college. They don't get much from yoga therapy and music therapy. But I tell them that I get you a currency that can never get devalued. All currency suffers devaluation. Only currency that doesn't is goodwill. And I say I deal with goodwill because goodwill never will lose its value. And your goodwill, your love, your blessings are more than anything I need, Larry.
Oh God. See, you guys, this guy.
Hey, oh my God, look at that, look at that. Wow.
Oh,
You know,
brother, thank you
our
so
ashram is
deeply.
always dog friendly. And in fact, I think we were the original ones who started yoga because our dogs used to do yoga with us. And we recently lost one of our, Akash was an inmate for a long time. Ashram felt very lonely. So 2 weeks ago, on my daughter's birthday, she found a small stray puppy at our spiritual center, brought him home. So I'm calling him Dogi, the dog yogi, D-O-G-I.
Love it.
He
Well,
has
you know,
picked up
dog means depend on God.
absolutely,
And
absolutely so
dog
true.
backwards is God.
Is God so true, so true,
So they're here to show us God's love.
so true.
This
And
is
day
Jojo.
before Jojo, that's a nice one.
I
The
named
other
him
day,
after my sister who passed away
okay,
4 years
oh,
ago yesterday, and we got him 6 months
okay.
later. He's helped me heal my grief.
So true,
Wonderful.
so true. I completely know that.
They're
And day
so
before
beautiful.
yesterday, they picked up another puppy from the beach. And I said, okay. My daughter asked me, I said, okay, so now we have two small puppies who are
Have
staying in my
fun.
room with me. He has a nice heart in the center of his forehead. He's brown with a white heart.
Oh,
So I'm
nice.
calling him Hridu, which means heart in Sanskrit. So I was just so happy. So many times in many of my classes, I have people bring their pets to class, and I really love that. I love that.
Uh,
My ashram dogs will always be in my class, and I say they're better than all the students. Students may be late, but the dogs are on time.
Do they ever do any goat yoga in India? Because that's become popular over here.
Well, we have so many goats and cows every place that I'm sure it happens.
Yeah. Like they walk all over you while you're doing your position.
I put an Instagram reel the other day with little doggy. I was doing some practice and he was trying to run between my feet and my hands. And I was doing my practice and he came next to me and with his paw, he's like, why are you doing that? Pay attention to me. Oh my God, Catherine, that's beautiful. You have just made my day so special. Thank you so much, Larry, for
you
making
made our day so special, my brother, and love you so much. And when do you have? I guess those of you interested, maybe I haven't done this long time, but especially this group, if you want to maybe make a trip to India to visit this wonderful man, what's the best time to come and what event?
December, January is the best weather in Pondicherry.
Uh-huh.
And that is why normally the Loyola team visits us in December.
Okay.
So that that trip actually is a good one, and we found that it's a very good trip. They come down for 3 or 4 days. So we have 2 days of teaching in our ashram. One day we have a special ceremony at our spiritual center where my father and all the masters are interred. And then we go to the university for an event on one of the days. So they see how we work with the yoga therapy, music therapy in the university, in the hospital, and then how it is taught in a traditional ashram, and how we also offer our gratitude to the teachers who have come before us. Because it's a river, it's a river. Every one of us is a drop in that river.
Well, if it's meant to be, I'm going to shoot for 2027. And
Yeah.
those of you interested, maybe I haven't done for a long, long time, and this has inspired me.